There are several simple stories. One is to complete the theme of our gathering together for these last days. And the second, which is really 3 stories in one, is to set the tone for our next gathering together. The first is a story of a monk. He had been in the monastery for many, many years. He'd practiced all the precepts. He'd been the beggar, going out with his baking bowl, accepting whatever it was that was given to him, and always giving a blessing in return. He attained a very great state of what is called bodhicitta, being able to give out love selflessly, without any expectation, without any reward. But at a time, he arrived at a place where he felt and knew within his being that this was not all. And he felt empty. But out of that emptiness came the desire to write a book. So he bought himself a little notebook, and he sat in this place, waiting for the words to arrive, to fill the pages of the notebook, to describe love. But no words came, not one word. But suddenly he took up his pen, and in the middle of the page he wrote love. And at that moment, in a far distant place, a son who was angry and estranged from his father picked up the telephone and called him. 2 lovers came together in union, and in that moment a child was conceived. 2 neighbors who had been feuding for years passed each other on the footpath and suddenly turned round and hugged one another. The next day, he sat in that solitary emptiness, and again the word love arose, and in the middle of the second page he wrote L-O-V-E, love. And at that moment, a great wave that was about to engulf an island suddenly receded. 2 elderly people embraced one another and passed blissfully into another realm. A mother who had 5 children that she was attempting to feed and clothe was given a gift. A wealthy man inspired to give her aid. And so it went on, day after day, for 365 days. The monk sat with his empty page and an empty heart and wrote love in the middle of the page. And miracles occurred far and wide, and near also. When the book was finished, he took it to a publisher, but no one would publish it. but copies were handed to those who came to him, and soon it became a bestseller without the need of any publisher. It still goes on. The book is still being printed and spread throughout all of life. The second story is about Milarepa and his successor Gampopa. Milarepa was that great Tibetan saint who lived in a mountain cave for many years of his life, teaching by means of verse. The 100,000 poems of Milarepa are still printed today. But Milarepa lived solitary in a cave, wearing only a simple hemp shift, summer and winter. But then one day, a monk, a physician monk by the name of Gampopa, came up the mountain, and as soon as Milarepa saw him, he knew that this was his successor. But he had need to test him. So Milarepa took an empty skull from within his cave and filled it with liquor and handed it to Gampopa. Now Gampopa was a monk, and to monks in their training, no liquor touched their lips. But Gampopa, recognizing in Milarepa his greatness, immediately obeyed and brought the skull to his lips and quaffed all the liquor it contained. After this, Milarepa sent Gampopa to a cave higher than his own in this high mountain, where he meditated for 30 long years. But after those 30 years, Gampopa stood up from his meditation mat and descended the mountain to where he faced Milarepa. Milarepa knew that it was time for Gampopa to return to the world, and he gave him his blessings to send him on his way. But just as Gampopa was reaching the stream that ran down the mountainside, Milarepa called to him and said, "Wait, my son, I have a secret to share with you." Gampopa waited with anticipation, and Milarepa turned around and, lifting the shift that covered his nakedness, he bent over to reveal to Gampopa his naked bottom, rutted, scarred, leathery, after years and years and years of meditation. Gampopa left, Milarepa knowing that he would never see his devotee again. And, of course, Gampopa became a great teacher. In the course of his teaching, there was a merchant who came to him and said to Gampopa, "Venerable Master, I have been a merchant selling spiritual icons for years, and I know this is bad karma. Please, won't you tell me how I can expiate my karma?" "Oh," said Gampopa, "cease this work. Find an occupation that will allow you to build a temple." This the merchant did. He worked day and night to earn sufficient to build a wonderful temple. When the temple was finished, he went to Gampopa, and Gampopa said, "Your work is now done." "But," said the merchant, "the temple is empty. It needs decoration and icons and accoutrements of worship." "No," said Gampopa, "the people will come and bring the decorations and icons to fill your temple. Your work is done." In that moment, the merchant realized the cessation, the stillness, the absence that was there with the words that Gampopa spoke. Your work is done. The people will bring the icons, the accoutrements of devotion to be placed in your temple. This is the completion of our theme, as well as setting the tone for our next